Hi, this is Milos. I'm here in Coliseum Gym Fullerton, a mecca of bodybuilding here in Orange County, on another segment of the Fit Show, powered by bodybuilding.com. I was away for a while due to my busy schedule with Olympia competitors, but I'm right back here next to my training partner, Marcelo Carvel, who is just 6 days away from his national debut. He's doing the nationals in Atlanta, Georgia. Today we're going to do the biceps segment, something that a lot of you guys requested, and I'm going to go right back to work and show you all the ins and outs of biceps training. So let's go and do it. Okay, we're going to start with the bread and butter of biceps training. It's a barbell curl. As Marcelo is right now in exceptional shape, I would like to point out first, before we start, definition that he has right now allowed us to show the little parts of the elbow flexors, which is biceps, has the two heads, and brachialis. As he is very well defined, you can see right now as he performs the exercise exactly which muscle is going to be involved. Let's go with the barbell curl. This is a basic exercise for a bicep, keeping the elbows pointing down at all times without moving them up front. He is just having a strong contraction on the biceps as he's moving the barbell up. You see the width that he chose is about wider than his shoulder width, and we can show different grips would work different part of the muscle. But basically barbell curls work a short head of the biceps, which is inner portion right here. So many people believe that the barbell curl just works overall, all the biceps long and short head, but it's really primarily, a short head exercise. If he goes wider, all the way wide as he can, this is even more pronounced. So the wide grip would work more of the short head of the biceps, which is located right here inside. Go inside. By changing it all the way in, all the way close, now he would involve also the long head of the biceps, which is located right here. And as you can see, if he turns a little bit, the brachialis part is going to be more involved. So this is some exercise that pretty much all of us do with either barbell, easy curl bar, dumbbells, or cables. We can perform all of them. But just remember, if you go close grip like he's doing it right now, it does hit more of the long head of the biceps, outside portion, and more brachialis. Elbows are down, as if he lifts the elbows, he releases the tension on the biceps somewhat, and his front delt would take over. As he is right now dieted down for the show, I don't want to use a heavy weight, but this is pretty much exercise when you can really go as heavy as you can. Okay, put it down. You can try the same thing with the cables right here. Just angle yourself towards the camera. And as we talked about the advantage of a cable, it works not just against the gravity that we have, keep going, works against a low pulley leverage force. So if he would lean back, he would simulate almost incline dumbbell curls. That's something that we're going to do later on. And incline also involves long head of the biceps more. If he goes more in front or even leaning forward, then short head of the biceps is getting a greater contractions. Okay, that's good. Finally, the same move he can be doing with the dumbbells. Okay, just do the alternate biceps curls, straight. Okay, he chose to do the supinated alternate as he supinates his hand on the way up. Keep going, a few reps. All right, he can be performing hammer curls straight up. Or even he can pronate and do the reverse. Yeah, do the reverse, yeah. And a few more. Okay, now I'm going to explain. You can put it down. I'm really not trying to be too technical, but I know that most of you guys want to learn about different exercises, different techniques. And as Marcelo is a good example right now, I'm going to show you a little bit specifics. If he chooses to go close grip, it's like his arm is in this position. By doing these contractions, you can see his long head of the biceps is involved dramatically. That also goes for a concentration close. That's about in this position. When the elbow is in front, you can do that in a seated position. You can use your knee as a leverage as well. This clearly works outer portion, long head of the biceps. It's great for a biceps peak here. Okay, also that includes a lot of brachialis, muscle that really brings the detail. And for us competitors, this is so important because more detail creates illusion of being bigger. And it's really pronounced in his case. Now, if you remember, this is close grip, outer, and as he's going out, wider, 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 the more fibers of the inner portion of the biceps are going to be involved. So if he goes really very wide, bicep curls is going to be inner portion or short head of the biceps. So that's that little trick. Without really being too technical, remember that yes, different portion of the biceps could be stimulated with different exercises, and one would be width of the grip, wider being more inner, short head, closer would be more outer or long head of the biceps, with brachialis being greatly involved. Other specifics, if he does supination or pronation, and let's go really focus on his arm, so maybe you can see just by him doing it. Squeeze the biceps as you supinate, and do now when you pronate. Okay, this is the two things that we have. By pronating, again, the brachialis takes a lot of work. Supination would get the majority of the work on biceps. There's again two heads, that's biceps, two heads, short and long head. So a hammer curl, a neutral grip, usually used for forearms. It's also brachioradialis. This is this long muscle that is working, and tremendous work on the brachialis part is good for overall biceps development. It's not really forearm exercise or a brachialis. It's generally the whole elbow flexor group. So supination, neutral grip or hammer, or pronated. Thank you. So if I didn't confuse you too much, I'm going to just say it one more time. Barbell curl, bread and butter of all the biceps exercises, is usually done with a heavy weight. They can stimulate fast twitch fiber, give us overall size. Is not really specifically overall biceps exercise. It's more short head of the biceps builder. So keep that in mind. If you do the barbell curl, mostly you're stimulating short head of the biceps. If you go heavy enough, of course, it's going to give you the muscle mass, but you're going to have to combine some other exercises for long head. Wide grip, inner portion, closer grip, outer portion, and brachialis. Okay, let's move on to the next exercise. Okay, we're back here in the biceps training segment for the Fit Show. Marcelo is going to demonstrate several different exercises on an incline bench. I was saying about the position that we have in incline. For a chest, we would benefit in the upper chest region. For a biceps, anything we do on an incline would benefit us for a long head of the biceps. As I said, in a barbell curls, we work mainly inner portion or short head. Anything we do in incline position here would hit the outside portion. So let's go with the long head bicep stimulation, doing a dumbbell incline curls. Arnold Schwarzenegger at his time, if you guys remember, performed this exercise all the time, and he had a spectacular long head of the biceps. arms in general, but his biceps specifically was out of this world. So as you can see here, incline position stretches his arm somewhat more than he would be in a vertical position, and that stimulates beside everything else in the elbow flexors group, long head of the biceps, outside portion. Okay, he can do it like this with supination at the top or just straight hammer. One popular exercise, I would really suggest you guys to try to do it. As you can see, his brachialis works over time. It works specifically good in this exercise, this portion. A little bit of brachioradialis is also involved, but really if you do incline curls, do it for long head bicep stimulation. Okay, let's do a bit of cables. I'm just giving you an option to do something with a cable when we have all this set up. That's one of my favorite exercises. Just go ahead. You can see what I was talking about previously. Long head gets a lot of work here. Okay, keep going. Okay, keep going, keep going. One of the exercises that I like and I perform with Marcelo is partial reps. And I'm gonna surprise him. Okay, put it down. With a barbell. So it's really partial movement. You can stay like this. Don't lean back. Okay, and just go perform some reps. This is a forgotten exercise. Not too many people do this anymore. Marcelo and I usually include this as a finishing move. Like if you just did the incline dumbbell or incline cable curls, we will finish off with something like this. It's partial movement. It's great stimulation on the biceps. Is continuous tension. You have no chance to relax, basically. It's just that final touch at the end. You know, very good, thank you. Okay, so that will be ABCs of incline curls for biceps. The reason why we do it is to stimulate the long head of the biceps. We are going into the next exercise for biceps. I'm going to show just about every version of a preacher curl, you know, starting with the most common barbell preacher curl. Okay, here we go. As you guys know, Larry Scott, our first Mr. Olympia, is the one that popularized this exercise, as he was doing this all the time. Let's do the biceps curls like this. The reason why we have this bench is really to isolate the biceps as much as possible. As you can see, his body does not move, so momentum is excluded from this exercise, and he can really focus on isolation of the bicep. Barbell curl, as he's doing right now with this specific grip, would work general elbow flexors, every group of biceps brachii and brachialis, brachioradialis, but still mostly would work inner portion or short head of the bicep. If he goes closer grip, he would hit the long head as well. This is something that I went into great detail in the first episode, so please tune in and see. And if you go wide grip, you can see that his inner portion gets much bigger stimulation. For many people that, thank you, they have a problem with using barbell, we design an easy curl bar that is much easier on our wrist. So choose the close grip, go ahead. If you go this close, is again designed for outer portion, long head of the bicep. Go ahead. And if he switches the grip to the wide or even extremely wide, it will be more for inner portion. What is important here is, as I said, there is no cheating, no momentum. He can go for a full stretch and then full contraction. As I said, in the barbell curls, I always encourage people not to move their elbows. Here, they have no choice. So basically even beginners using a squat bench always do it properly because they have no choice. They cannot move the elbow. Okay, thank you. The same exercise could be done with the dumbbells. Is the right one? Okay. And go ahead. Here we can use all kinds of different grips. Most common one. Okay, this is now what he's performing is Zottman curl. It's basically supinated, curled all the way up, now completely pronated and lowered that way. Okay, now do just a hammer. Hammer. Very common exercise. Now do the supinated. Okay, keep going. You can do a few more with the left arm as I explained. So bench that Larry Scott created here is really useful for that one reason. Isolating muscle, biceps muscle, excluding a momentum, and that's about it. This exercise that he's performing right now is commonly used among pro bodybuilders, and you can see he can really create that strong contraction at the top. Complete stretch on the bottom. And what we do actually sometimes even a static contraction. So go at the hardest part of the movement right here and maintaining this contraction for 30 seconds at a time or more. Or usually at the end of the workout, on his last rep, he would lower and try to maintain this static contraction as long as possible. Okay, put it down. And finally, we can do this on the cables. Okay. There's a cable preacher curl. Done perfectly. Stretching the biceps all the way down. And squeezing on the top. He chose this close grip again to hit the outer portion, long head of the bicep. So important muscle group, and especially for competitive bodybuilder that needs that extra peak on the stage, this would be a way to go. Okay, thank you. So this would be preacher curls. Every kind of preacher, dumbbell, cable, easy curl, or barbell preacher curls. We are moving on to the next exercise on the bicep segment on the fit show. Thank you. We're continuing our training for biceps with the concentration curls. I just want to make one thing clear. There are hundreds of different exercises for bicep. I chose, for this segment, preacher and concentration curls, as those are one of my favorites. Marcella is also going to show you several ways of doing concentration curls. It's usually isolation move. It's not a heavy compound move. It's not really great muscle builder. It's more isolation exercise, more used for a shape, definition, muscle tone. First version is going to be with the knee as leverage. Okay, good. This kind of concentration curls can be done with a heavier weight. You can use as heavy dumbbells as possible. And as you can see, plate of the movement this time is parallel to his body. It's not in front, it's parallel. And we prepare here different sets of dumbbells, as I like this exercise in a descending mode, which means do as heavy as you can, 6 to 8 repetitions maybe with the heaviest dumbbell, switch to the lighter, do another 6 to 8 repetitions, and finally finish off with a strong contraction on a lightest set of dumbbell. Stretch is all the way down and a peak contraction at the top. Completely supinated position of his wrist here again stimulates upper portion, outer portion of the biceps, long head of the biceps. Thank you. He can do the same with the cables without using the bench. Perform this in a standing position. He can use cables as concentration curls. great finishing touch at the end of the biceps workout, especially for my guys that are competing in a contest period. This is an excellent exercise. It can be done with the cables or with a dumbbell. The dumbbell. So in a standing position, his right biceps got tired, so he switched to the left. This is something you can see, pumping iron movie where Arnold was doing this exercise. It was a dramatic scene when his bicep was just about to explode. And as Arnold was talking at that time, he would imagine his biceps as big as mountains. And that visualization that he used, probably caused an incredible muscle mass that he had in his bicep. Okay, Marcelo, thank you. There is a last specific exercise. There is my little secret that I do. It's a cable upside down. Okay, it's going to take me a second. Upside down biceps, go ahead. Concentration curl with this, elbow is out and to the shoulder. Okay, a little bit more to the shoulder. Okay, this is one of the exercises that I specially designed for Marcelo, because he would be so lazy towards the end of the contest preparation that he would just look for the exercises where he can lay down. So really, I'm joking about this. The thing about exercise like this, I was preparing for one of my 72 professional shows. I was extremely tired, and I tried to find exercises that can still stimulate the biceps, but use the rest of the body at the least that I can. Switch the hands. And really, I don't know if you've seen this exercise too many times in the gym. It's really, really excellent isolation move. As you can see, stretching against the gravity and then squeezing on the way down. Okay, thank you very much. That's it. So to conclude this second segment for biceps, we did a preacher curl, and then we did concentration curls. As I said, there are hundreds of exercises for bicep. I'm going to leave you now so far with this much. And if you really want to see more of the biceps exercises, please write to Fit Show, log in on bodybuilding.com and let us know what exactly questions do you have about the biceps training that I did not cover this time. So until next time, thank you for watching, and tune in again next week for a Fit Show. Thank you.